Every culture has its own folklore, but the banana tree ghost of Asia is particularly creepy. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit. We've seen banana tree ghosts in the past, but this one is extra spooky. Alien Angel writes, "Ghost girl crying in a banana tree patch. It is unbelievable what happens towards the end. Traditionally, the ghost hides out in wild banana trees and is with a green complexion, full black hair, and bright red lips. She remains incognito there until full moon drives her out of the darkness, which is when she is made visible at night. Often she is seen standing without touching the ground. Her lower half is represented as not solid, but wispy, like an extension from the trunk of the tree itself, apart from the tree's fruits being inedible. Many don't grow this type of banana tree in their compounds or homes because of their haunted nature. This is also why if you cut a banana tree from the clump in Thailand, it's seen as a bad omen, while the witch is believed to be for the most part a good witch, even going so far as to offer food to Buddhist monks who pass her by. With this bit of background, take a look at this video. The Wailing Witch is clearly visible in this banana tree. Her long black hair and light green shirt seen amongst the giant banana leaves. What isn't clear is why she's crying like this. Or is that crying coming from the person viewing the witch? Is it a cry of fear? The viewer doesn't have to be afraid for long, as the witch soon vanishes, flashing up out of the tree and out of sight. While some in the comments say this is surely a witch, others aren't so sure. Redditor Pete318 shares his own personal view, writing, "There are some areas where spirit people congregate, and you can tell these areas by several things you feel when near them. Whether you believe in the haunting of nature or not, this video is proof that there are some things out there that will forever remain a mystery." You know when you're nonchalantly taking video, panning across the room, and this happens? This short clip posted to YouTube by Baku DD is not meant to be a jump scare, but it'll have you jumping scared anyway. As the woman films her apartment with a blurry camera, she pans around to a hallway that appears to be filled with sunlight, perhaps by a window backlighting the area, and there stands a tall, looming figure that apparently shouldn't be there at all, judging by the woman's frightened reaction. The woman shrieks, and the shot moves sideways as she jumps in fright. When she pans back to the hallway, the figure is gone. This is either a fantastic fake or the real deal. Whether you think it's legit or not, it's probably something you wouldn't want to witness in the flesh. When you visit a place that's notoriously haunted, don't expect to be disappointed. Posted to YouTube by Corndictive, the uploader writes of this clip, "Watch the very top window of the house. That flash didn't happen when we were taping this, and none of us know what it is. There were no cars out when this happened. The top window in question is that of the Glenmore Mansion." This clip necessitates a little background on this spooky place. As it turns out, many of the historical sites of Jefferson County, Tennessee are crazy haunted. Glenmore Mansion was built in 1799. It belonged to a family for a century and was later bought up by Mr. Milton Preston Jarnigan, who named the house after his first son who passed away as an infant. The home was in the Jarnigan family for a further century. Over the course of more than 2 centuries, passing in this old home were bound to occur, resulting in the haunting of these hallowed grounds. According to some legends, the house is like an Escher drawing in that the exterior windows are more in number than the interior windows. Others also suggest the home's height changes, although some say the mega mansion has 15 rooms across 5 stories, with other sites reporting there are 27 rooms. When the mansion falls dark, visitors claim there's a presence roaming around the home, but don't worry, the presence is benevolent. Some believe it to be the ghost of a local historian, Thomas Roach. When alive, Roach claimed that if ever a ghost was found there, it would be him. But one of the creepiest sightings happened outside the mansion altogether. A young girl is often seen walking along the estate's road at night in the darkness. From unexplained sounds to shadows in the mirrors, the mansion has had its fair share of ghastly ghosts. Tours of the home are routine, but once the lights are out and the house has been abandoned for the night, some say a light turns on in the attic. This Victorian gem of a house seems so perfectly cookie cutter that it's the perfect place for a haunting, and the unsettling nature of the home is confirmed by this video. The crew focuses in on an upstairs window where they see lights or a flash of white and something moving inside. Can you spot it? Whether you believe in ghosts or not, you probably wouldn't want to be in Glenmore Mansion when the lights turned on. As I look at this image, I can't help but feel a sense of unease. It's clear that the young woman enjoying her vacation has no idea there is a frightening figure lurking in the bamboo just behind her. But as I study the photo more closely, I can't help but wonder, what is that shadowy figure? Is it a person? An animal? Or could it be something even more sinister? One thing is for certain, this isn't a sight you'd want to see on your vacation. It's a reminder to always be aware of your surroundings, no matter where you are. I can't help but feel a sense of dread as I imagine the young woman's terror as she realized that she was being hunted by this mysterious figure. It's the stuff of nightmares. Overall, this image leaves me with more questions than answers. Is it real? Is it photoshopped? Is it evidence of a real poltergeist? Whatever the case may be. If you've lost a loved one, you might sometimes feel that their spirit is still with you. And if you're anything like TikToker E to the R to the ICA, you might find video proof that this is actually true. Erica R 1971 posted this ghostly video to the site writing, "So my security picked this up tonight. My dad passed on November 26, and I wonder if it's him." The footage shows a ghostly figure pass by, floating casually past the security camera. The figure is white and vapor-like, appearing across the scene from right to left. If Erica is right, and this is in fact her father's spirit, what is he trying to tell her? Does he just want to comfort her by making his presence known? It does not look like CGI to me, so I think this video is 100% real. In Erica's place, would you feel comforted by a ghost? Jessie Sims and her friend use a Ouija board only to discover they are surrounded by 3 spirits. She claims to get dizzy and asks if it's a good spirit she's talking to. The spirit gives them a negative response, so Jessie fights her panic and asks,
"Is this Zozo?"
The pointer stays over no. It's not Zozo after all. Still, they both have a bad feeling, so they decide to ask,
"What do you want from us?" "Shut up."
You, the ghost responds. A short while later, Jessie's nose begins to gush red. 2 grown men are roaming the woods when they come across a creature that's making some very guttural warning noises. Suddenly, something wrapped in baggy robes lunges straight at them. As far as I can tell, only one of them makes it to the car, and then, I don't think it ends well. No other information on this video is available. 2 adventurous friends are ready to explore an old sewer tunnel, but they don't make it very far before a strange noise makes them turn right around and head back to the light.
Did you hear that? Right.
They escape the tunnel safely, and nothing follows them outside. The obvious answer is that this was some kind of laughing sound effect that they edited in later, but to me it does sound like it was coming from a distance, as if it really was somewhere deeper in the sewer. A YouTuber named Maximus and his friends are playing with a Ouija board in the shed. At first, they can't stop goofing around for long enough to take it seriously, but as time goes on, they start to concentrate more on the board and less on making jokes.
Are you there?
Maybe lift your arms up.
Why?
Cause it.
What?
Yo, what?
No, that was you. Is that not you? No.
They laugh wildly to cover up the mounting tension as they realize a ghost might actually be near. Unlike most of the videos, nothing happens for a long time, and the pointer stays completely still. They go back to making sarcastic jokes until another event gives them pause.
Are you standing next to Frank Tilton?
Are you Frank Tilton?
When was he born?
Stop playing. Stop.
Oh my god, no way! That actually fell!
They are still acting like they don't care very much, but they decide to leave the shed just in case something is watching them. There's something about this video and their excitedly skeptical reactions that seems very genuine to me. Ghost investigations are even scarier in another language. In this video posted to YouTube in December of 2018, ghost investigators attempt to infiltrate an abandoned house that we can only guess is haunted, at least it looks that way. While exploring the home, the investigator keeps hearing things moving, debris being unsettled, and from the way he's jerking his camera around, it seems he's sensing movements around him.
2층에
What is in this home with him? The place appears as though someone just picked up and left. It's covered with debris and looks like it was abandoned in a state of chaos. While creeping around some upstairs room, the ghost investigators appear to sense someone or something, and that something grabs a hold of him. It's clear he's struggling with a force in the home. He tussles with it and for a moment is dragged backwards by the force before he escapes, racing out of there like his life depends on it, which it probably does. What is going on in this video? Is there any explanation as to what pulled this ghost investigator backwards? It certainly looks real to me. For fear of knowing, don't answer. After all, I don't think 99% of people could handle the answer.
어딨어? 자신 있으면 나와봐.
Here's another strange sewer grate video that's worth mentioning. I have no idea what is making these high-pitched noises, and apparently neither does this person. The bleeding quiets down and then starts up again. Everything from toads to alarm systems have been proposed, but I have never heard an alarm system that makes that noise, or any other piece of equipment on Earth for that matter. If whatever is making that noise is alive, then I hope they are not suffering. A doll that speaks is not mysterious, but a doll that speaks when it has no batteries certainly is. That's apparently exactly what this doll can do. If someone could please tell me what brand of doll this is, and also translate what is being said here, then maybe we can help solve this mystery.
Hola, encantante conocerte. Podemos ser amigos.
They examine the doll for a hidden battery compartment, and ultimately find nothing. It's safe to assume that when somebody is standing on train tracks, staring down an oncoming train, they're either crazy or sadly looking to end their life. That question is exactly at hand in this footage, taken in India, published in May of 2017. The footage shows a train steadily making its way down the track when a mother and her daughter decide that's the best time to book it across. They slow down as they reach the other side, while the train, fast approaching, starts blaring its horn to warn them to get the heck out of the way. Instead, the mother and daughter remain on the track, walking casually toward the train, before veering off to the right in what appears to be the last second. Why would you tempt your own fate, and even worse, the fate of your child, by walking this fine line between life and passing on? One can only guess. As myself and most in the comments agree, this could have ended terribly. The next time you gaze up into the serene night sky, you might experience a feeling of panic instead of peace. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by After Performance 2. The Redditor explains that these strange lights were seen in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina last year on July 19th. The lights were grouped in threes, and according to the Redditor, some disappeared before she could capture them on video. The video shows a trio of lights floating overhead in the sky, and a moment later, another trio closer to the horizon off in the distance. The sets of lights don't float in strict formation, but seem to each be wavering at their own pace. They then flicker and disappear. Redditor Professional Truck 3 suggests that these were paper lanterns lit and then launched from the beach. But the 70s kids negates that, saying if these were lanterns, they'd drift apart. Well, some say the wind is obviously taking the lanterns in the same direction. After Performance 2 theorizes that they're all going to the same destination. Another Redditor, Buster Blevins, chimes in proposing that this is not necessarily a unique occurrence. He wrote, "Last Friday, a bunch of people saw something very similar to this in northern Wisconsin. The lights would appear in groups of 3, and it was as if there was a pattern that looked like the light was traveling in a circle around something." Any other theories as to what these strange lights could be? There is so much in nature that not many of us have ever seen before. Such creatures may as well be unknown to us. Could this one be both? Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Calligram. The clip shows the transparent amoeba-like body of a tiny creature in the palm of a human hand. The human feeds it something that looks like pollen in a tube as the creature attaches its circular mouth around the comparably large tube, eating eagerly. The creature's eyes are nothing but vague black spots, sealed closed. Its mouth is spotted black and white, and its body has 4 limbs in 2 distinct parts, with skin appearing frail and translucent. All in all, it's a creepy sight to behold, and many Redditors in the comments agree. But it's Tmez36 that has a more specific and seemingly accurate theory. She writes, "Lady Goldie and Finch chick. They're quite pretty when fully grown. The illuminated bit on the side of the beak are thought to be either a way to guide parents when dropping off food in the dark, and as this other video shows, this Redditor is correct. Both very creepy and very cool. Would you be willing to feed it?" Exploration Unknown is a Knoxville-based urban exploration channel run by a man named John Turner. First appearing on YouTube in 2016, he dedicates his time to venturing into creepy abandoned locations, from derelict home to former orphanages and asylums. His choice of location will often have a gruesome true story behind them, including the takings of life and other horrible events. Back in November 2017, John, along with friends James and Tim, returned to the abandoned Glendale Orphanage they previously explored. This time their goal was to conduct the infamous 3 a.m. challenge. In short, 3 a.m. is considered the witching hour, the perfect time for hunting ghosts. Almost right off the bat at the video start, John and the others have split up when a wooden board is seen falling on its own from behind a doorway. John goes to investigate, and much to his shock and slight bemusement, it turns out it was just James playing a joke on them. This appears to be in James's nature, as he does so again when he slams a metal door shut, scaring John so badly he accidentally stops recording. Jokes aside, Tim soon begins to feel lightheaded after the trio go to the second floor, and therefore decides to head outside for some air. Meanwhile, James and John continue to investigate the second floor, finding the normal things you would expect in an abandoned building: graffiti, specks of dust, etc. When they descend the stairs back to the first floor, they are shocked to find Tim collapsed on the floor, out cold.
Down in the basement. I hope I got reception down there.
Tim? Dude, you okay? Tim? Tim, dude. Tim.
Bro, what are you doing?
You okay, man?
Thankfully, they were able to wake him, although he is clearly dazed and groggy. The reaction from John and James are of genuine concern and confusion, and Tim appears to be really out of it with a pale complexion. Deciding Tim's safety is more important, James and John help their fallen friend back outside and back to the car. Clearly shaken by the incident, John and James decide not to venture into the basement, and instead, footage of their previous visit is shown. It is unknown what exactly happened, and no other other paranormal activity can be seen in the footage, so it is undetermined if Tim was the victim of some sort of attachment. He does show the common signs of paranormal attachment, which often manifest as feeling lightheaded and nauseated, and can even lead to passing out. What could also be possible is Tim came under the effects of harmful dust in the building. Considering the age and state of the orphanage, it is possible Tim became overwhelmed by particles such as asbestos, a once common insulation that can cause damage to the lungs if breathed in. The fact that John and James were unaffected does cast some doubt on this theory, although it is still completely possible. Regardless, finding your friend unconscious on the floor of such an eerie location is certain to scare anyone. Thankfully, Tim was okay and apparently started feeling a bit better after resting by the car. With that said, the three decided to call it a night and left the location. John clarified in the video description and comments Tim was okay and recovered, as well as thanking those who expressed concern for his condition. On February 21st, 2021, John uploaded a director's cut of the original video, acting as a sort of commentary. John discusses his personal experience that night. He stated he felt concerned about Tim when he said he wasn't feeling good, and expressed regret for not going with Tim to make sure he was alright. He also said he has received messages from people who had lived there during its operation, saying they actually had good experiences while residing there. They considered it a home with the staff taking good care of them. Comparing it to places such as Leckworth Village, it is a relief to hear good experiences about an orphanage, as they can be notorious for negativity, to put it mildly. When discussing the moment he and James found Tim, he said it looked as if he broke his leg. It is at this point John himself discusses a possible third explanation for Tim's condition. According to John, Tim had been up almost 30 hours at this point and had actually worked a full shift of work prior to joining the others. However, he also expresses Tim is sensitive to locations, including a time he collapsed at Skinwalker Ranch. This gives further support something had attached to him, but considering the positive remarks from former residents, it's hard to say what attached. It's good to know Tim turned out okay in the end, as these investigations can cause serious consequences. A YouTuber named Jeff Saxton is playing with his Ouija board all alone one Friday night. He asks if any spirits are around him, and immediately gets a positive response. He contemplates quitting but decides he owes it to his viewers to keep going. He's in the middle of asking some routine questions when all of a sudden this happens.
What the... Yo, guys. Ow! Ow!
His pointer slips away and something knocks over his camera. Jeff Saxton steadies the camera and refocuses it on 3 tiny claw marks, now adorning his right arm. It's hard to say if these are fresh marks or just old scratches from a cat or something like that, so give me your best guess as to whether this video is real or fake. When in Kentucky, Bobby Mackey's is a must on your pit stop through Wilder, as the honky tonk place is often called the most haunted nightclub in America, and here's video to prove it. Posted by 303 Paranormal TV to the Chills Narrator subreddit. He writes, a few clips of some paranormal evidence caught on my channel. The footage was taken at Bobby Mackey's, which according to legend, has been the site of both life-takings, takings of own lives, and of course hauntings. Folklore claims there's a gateway inside Bobby Mackey's, and it's haunted by the ghosts of people who passed away on site and nearby. One of the purported ghosts is that of Pearl Bryan, whose body was found around 2 miles away. According to some, those responsible put a curse on the site and said that they would haunt those who persecuted the case. Of course, all these claims are unsubstantiated. Pearl Bryan's life-taking is sadly true. No public records have been found to confirm Bobby Mackey's had any part in it, nor has the location's historical background regarding any other supernatural claims been verified. Regardless, some have captured paranormal experiences on tape at the site, including this video of a shadow figure moving across the wall in the empty club. Is there some truth in urban legends? Is this video proof of at least some unearthly presence here? I think I'd be too scared to ever find out for myself. This family claims that no matter what kind of baby monitor they have, or what frequency they change it to, this haunting melody always finds its way to their child's ears. They even claim that this song has played on baby monitors without the batteries in, though I find that hard to believe. A YouTuber named James Matthews recorded this video somewhere in the UK after he kept hearing this noise over and over again one day with no reasonable explanation. It sounds to me like it could be some rusty piece of machinery, but James lives in the quiet countryside, and no farming equipment is big enough to sound like that. The noise seems to take up the entire sky. What happens when you're on an extreme ghost hunt that goes horribly wrong? Published to YouTube in July of 2020, Simply Sereth can answer that question. He suggests using earphones to get the full effect of what happened to him and his crew when they got trapped in by unseen forces while exploring this bungalow. In the video, they wander through the dark abandoned house. It's raining outside, which adds to the creepy ambiance inside the home with its empty windows and doors. Nearly straight away, they keep hearing noises that makes them jump and search around for the source. The home is nightmarish, with bats or birds swooping down from the ceiling every so often. At one point at 14 minutes 30 seconds, they hear footsteps above. At another point, there's a loud bang at the end of the hallway they're hovering in. While talking through the spirit box, they feel like something is at the end of the hallway again. They run for a moment, but then stall to talk again to the spirit box. They must have felt trapped like rats as they kept hearing noises on opposite ends of the hallway. But thankfully, they eventually escaped with their lives. But did something else come with them? Do you feel like you're being watched? Maybe you are. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Gage the Sun, this short clip will have you looking over your shoulder. Titled Eyes Out of Nowhere. There is no explanation for this footage. The clip shows two bright blinking eyes in the darkness hidden just beyond a pillar. They blink and then open once more. Then the dim light goes black and this pair of glowing eyes are all you can see. Don't look into the dark corner of your room after watching this clip, or your imagination will keep you up all night. When you think you're home alone, and then this happens. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by Esco Season 95. The Redditor writes, I was messing around with my dog, just us two were home, and my door did this. The video shows the Redditor playing with her dog's mouth, baring his teeth, when suddenly behind him, the door, which is opened into the bedroom, slowly swings closed before slamming shut. She specifies that her door never closes like this, and there were no doors or windows open to create a draft. While some think there are too many ways to fake videos with closing doors, others don't believe it's faked, but cite air pressure or other circumstances that might have caused this. Dark Lord of Pretzels writes, whether or not it's paranormal doesn't matter, because if I was home alone and that exact scenario happened to me, I'd nope out of there so fast. I feel like most of us would agree with that statement. Sometimes that ghoul in the hallway just wants to be a part of the group. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit, Lucky1196 writes, is that real or just good acting and editing? The clip shows a small group of friends sitting on the floor and hanging out as the shot pans from one friend to the other. It passes the darkened hallway beyond, but though it should be empty, there appears to be someone crouching in the darkness. Once the cameraman finally notices the intruder, he gets up and walks towards the hallway. For a moment, there's only darkness, but once the lights are on, there's clearly nothing there. Who was watching them, and what did he want? This video was recorded more than 5 years ago. It shows the pointer moving around the Ouija board on its own at first. but then it somehow levitates and begins flying away. There's a good chance that this is CGI. At least, that's the only explanation that I can think of besides actual spirits. This video does not include a haunted Ouija board per se, but a woman named Carmela as she is being tormented by spirits unleashed from a Ouija board. Now she is being rushed to the hospital as she says strange and evil things, her face twisting as tightly as the muscles will allow. When the emergency medical technicians tell her to wake up, she sits up and an evil spirit appears to speak through her. Carmela lets her head drop back and begins to thrash back and forth, while the spirit that's inside of her continues to say cryptic messages. The video is believed to come from Spain, but not much else is known. I highly doubt that this has been staged because this looks like a real medical emergency, so she is probably either suffering from a delusion or she really was ravaged by spirits. They say that you can become possessed if you do not properly banish the ghosts at the end of the Ouija board summoning, so maybe that's what happened to poor Carmela. Out in the woods sits an old house with a reputation that I'm sure you'll recognize. This is where none other than the Blair Witch itself is said to frequently reside. I've always been under the impression that the forest creature was simply a made-up story, but tonight Jay and Kevin are pairing up to put the legend to the test. After getting lost in the woods, they finally find the Blair Witch house and cautiously step inside. The walls have writing on them from previous visitors, but something else seems to have never left and now watches from afar. Clumps of black hair in the sink, long and unkept, evidence of the Blair Witch, or at least proof that they are not alone. As they examine it, I see something is peeking through the window at them at 7 minutes and 36 seconds. 6 seconds later, it's just an empty black space again. And when they walk into another room, the EMF indicates more activity at the far window, just as a mysterious white light appears. I wouldn't be surprised if the witch was watching from behind those drapes, but for some reason, they don't check, perhaps out of fear. Jay doesn't get any more EMF readings inside of this room in particular, and I think that's because it's not in there with them, but rather watching from someplace outside. Soon, Jay feels himself being pulled back to the room they were just in.
Do you want me to go in this room again? Make this meter go off if this is the room you want me in.
Absolutely.
Thank
I have
you.
little doubt that Jay forms a true paranormal connection here because the timing is too perfect. Not to mention, it confirms its presence twice.
So this is the room that we're supposed to be in?
In this room is a large dirty window that is difficult to see out of. At precisely 11 minutes is when the outline of a tall woman is barely visible.
So something definitely has happened in this room.
Meanwhile, something guides Jay towards the closet where a traumatic event no doubt once occurred.
Is this the closet that you told us about?
Something in there is standing in front of him. A child who lost its life at the hands of the Blair Witch, who is showing Jay to the very same spot they lost their life at.
Where'd you go? Whoa.
And if you listen closely at 11 minutes and 47 seconds, you'll hear the ghost whisper "hey" right before the meter spikes as high as it can.
Where'd you go? Whoa.
Jay continues to receive flashing lights at exactly the right time. It's like he's really having a conversation.
Make that meter go off if you want me to pull out the spirit box and talk to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The EMF continues to pulse in a steady rhythm as Jay sets down the ground rules. No following him home, no possessions.
You're not allowed to attach to us or follow us home though, okay?
It glows more excitedly as he reaches to turn on the spirit box, and when he does, the spirit whispers this quick warning, followed by a mysterious black spirit orb that gives me a bad feeling. And when they ask the child what happened in the closet,
Did something happen in that hallway closet?
This creepy laugh is their only reply. They pick the EMF meter off the ground and confirm the presence of a boy standing right in front of them. In no other room do they experience this much electromagnetic activity. A sweep of the other rooms detects nothing paranormal. Now the only place left to explore is the screened-in front porch, which they can only get into from the outside. As they approach at 29 minutes and 44 seconds, you can see that nothing is in the front of the door, yet the bottom half of the door is mysteriously stuck shut. And when Kevin makes a comment as to why the door isn't opening,
I don't know, all those...
There's so much crud on these hinges that the door is not going to open for you.
it suddenly opens effortlessly.
What? That just...
Yeah.
Like, you witnessed that.
Yeah.
What in the world just happened?
I don't know if that was paranormal or just a jammed door coming loose, but given the timing of everything else, I'm going with spirits. The inside smells like something freshly burning, even though the chimney hasn't been used in quite some time, even though they couldn't smell anything through the other side of the screen. And as they stop to investigate it, they catch a fleeting glimpse of this tall figure covered in rags behind them. They leave not knowing how close they came to seeing it for themselves. Something is certainly still living here, and if it's not the Blair Witch itself, then it's something close enough, and maybe even worse. A YouTuber named Jimmy Camp is walking through the woods when he comes across a white church next to an old graveyard. He walks up to the window and finds everything empty. He is calmly admiring the scenery when suddenly this old melody plays. The music abruptly stops, and Jimmy takes off before he can see who is playing, if anyone. One thing about this video rubs me the wrong way. Jimmy claims that this church is abandoned, but the paint job looks kind of fresh, and the gravel driveway hasn't grown over. I also noticed that someone has swept leaves off the porch, so maybe this was simply a live person playing. Then again, maybe this spirit has also been doing some groundskeeping lately. A YouTuber named Stromedy and his friend journey into a maze of tunnels deep underground to conjure the spirit of a girl who supposedly had her life forcibly taken down there long ago. They don't appear to be very serious in the beginning, but their attitude soon changes when they think they've summoned a relatively friendly spirit named Abby. Then roughly 9 minutes into the video, they feel another presence enter, and this happens.
Oh, dude, it's doing figure eights again.
What?
Can you stop? Can you please? Yeah.
Holy.
That's freaking.
That's creepy.
I'm gonna ask it. Whoa!
They briefly consider leaving, but then Kyle volunteers to look through the middle of the pointer instead. Earlier, Abby said whoever does this will be able to see her true form. Kyle bravely puts the pointer to his eye and peers into the unknown.
Ha, you there, bro? Ha. Dude, seriously. Dude.
Let's just go. Let's go back. I know what you mean now. Let's go back.
Did you see her? What'd you see?
Let's go grab the board and let's go.
I think his reaction seems fairly genuine, but let me know if you agree or not. Published in July of 2020, the Urban Ghosts Urban Exploration team took the Randonautica app on a wild ride intended to lead them into places unknown. But somehow, for this team, the random destination was all too familiar. The app wound up taking them to a haunted cemetery that they'd explored 2 years prior. Joe explains that this is a bike park winding back into a cemetery deep into some heavy woods. During their last visit, they'd been scared out of it by what they thought was a bear. At one point, while looking at a grave in the fenced-in cemetery,
These are so old. You can kind of make it out.
whispering is heard in the background. All of Patty's batteries, which were fully charged, are now completely empty. When they fire up the spirit box, the spirit immediately says the name Joe. When asked if there's something they're supposed to find here, the spirit answers, "Near you." Joe feels like they're being watched. They keep hearing a man's voice coming from all directions. Rob, who's taking still images, also captures strange mists that appear in only some photographs. But the scariest find the team discovers in this haunted cemetery is a jewelry box on the ground. After misplacing it, they speak to the spirits through the spirit box again to see what's become of it. The spirit says Curtis.
It said Kurt. What did the box say again?
Later, they happen upon the carved jewelry box, which has somehow been placed ahead of them on the path, and find the inscription Curtis carved into it. Who is Curtis and what's in the box? These questions are going to keep me up all night. Original footage. This video is, admittedly, hard to keep up with. The video is original footage from 1999 that was sent to a random station or address with no further information included. The quality is understandably low and glitches out several times. A general summary is that there's a group of what appears to be several teens drinking, chatting, and playing games. One of the games that gets pulled out is the Ouija board. Things are fine at first, and after playing with the board, a few clips pass and the doorbell rings. One boy, as well as the camera person, go to check the door and see no one is there. At first it seems like a case of ding dong ditch, but as they're standing at the front door, the bell begins to ring over and over again. The lights flicker as well, and the camera glitches severely.
The doorbell's gate. Jesus Christ!
After the terrifying incident, the group comes together to discuss what happened. Loud knocks can be heard from above or somewhere in the distance. The group travels through the house in several chopped up clips trying to locate the noise, but every time they're in one location, the noise can be heard in a different location.
Listen, they'll come again now. See, you hear that? And again? So, audience, whoever you are watching this, right now, I'm pretty much believing this house is haunted, and I'm pretty much believing we're experiencing it, yeah? A ghost situation.
The group even attempts to climb into the attic before the doorbell begins ringing again.
There, man, again, see? How the f*** is that happening?
Once they're all inside, the doorbell ringing and knocking begins again. Another sound can be heard which sounds like a scratching or clicking.
What the f*** is that? What the f*** is that? Jesus!
As the name of his YouTube channel would suggest, Abroad in Japan provides helpful advice meant for anyone planning an extended stay in the country of Japan. Chris has lived there for over 7 years, and most of his videos deal with common topics, such as cultural differences and spending tips. 2 videos in particular, however, chronicle his experiences with Japan's supernatural. October 16th, 2018 is when Chris bikes with his friend Joey in search of an eerily abandoned tunnel that's rumored to be haunted. They don't know much about its history, but one look at how narrow it is, and it's hard to imagine a car squeezing through. The tunnel was apparently abandoned after too many lives were ended by unsafe driving. Now it lies on the side of the mountain, becoming more overgrown with each day. The first thing they notice is this strange human-like imprint on the wall, perhaps the spirit of someone who lost their life here. It's looking up towards the sky, and pale skin. Even the flowing sleeves of her dress are visible. It creeps them out and makes them want to get this over with so they can leave. As they are contemplating what all of this means, their camera records even more evidence that something is nearby. It's a soft voice whispering something in Japanese. Tell me if you can understand. I think it's real because the voice echoes off the tunnel walls. The exit is only a short distance away, so there's no big dramatic dash to safety or anything like that. They are suitably freaked out by now, and when they go to leave, this mysterious third person, shadow figure to be precise, is waiting for them at the end. Oh, and there's one other odd discovery in the haunted tunnel that I forgot to mention. Don't even want to know what this mysterious device was used for. It looks like it goes around a wrist or on an ankle and doesn't come off. So as strange as this paranormal encounter was, it was only scary enough to teach Chris his lesson for a year or two. February 16th, 2020 is when Chris stayed in Japan's most haunted hotel, a place known only as the Ryaku Fuso Inn. This is where the spirit of a young boy has been roaming the wealthiest people in Japan for over 600 years. That's a long time to be a troublesome little ghost. And by now he's gotten pretty good at his job, so what Chris sees that night should come as no surprise. This is where the spirit of a young boy has been haunting the wealthiest people in Japan for over 600 years. That's a long time to be a troublesome little ghost, and by now he's gotten pretty good at his job, so what Chris sees that night should come as no surprise. He and his friend wait until after hours to visit the memorial, where the boy is said to frequent, a shrine built in his name to keep him from becoming evil and cursed. I think I see the outline of a boy looking at them in the blue window above as one of them kneels down at the altar, and they must have done something wrong because this happens.
It's a bit creepy, innit?
Not only does a child scream, but a face appears over his shoulder shortly afterwards. They go back to their hotel room afterwards and don't think much of it, but the next day, Chris's friend reports an encounter that really troubles him. It seems as if they could have been followed after all.
Like, I couldn't move my body, and I heard someone, like, kind of standing on my chest, and then and he or she, whoever, touched my cheek.
I'm not sure if this last part is a paranormal encounter or sleep paralysis, a condition in which people are unable to move and often think they see a shadow figure moving towards them. When a poltergeist displays his candor over a period of several days, you gotta see it for what it is, a permanent unwanted house guest. Published to YouTube in October of 2019, this video shows a series of poltergeist activities occurring in this couple's kitchen. On day 4, the salt and pepper shakers sitting on the kitchen countertop start to move slightly, then the salt falls over altogether. On day 8, the couple is in the kitchen. The woman is cooking something and sets the hand blender on the counter. It's turned off. She goes to the fridge to retrieve an egg, and this happens. She drops the egg in fright, while the man calmly turns off the blender. On day 24, the man enters his kitchen to get a glass of water. His back turned to the stove. One of the burners suddenly turns on of its own accord. A pan on the stove slowly slides over to the lit burner, again all on its own. The man just stands there drinking his water, watching this happen. He takes 2 eggs from the fridge and sets them on the counter, inviting the poltergeist to cook. Maybe this is the best way to go about living with a poltergeist. Just accept that you have a third, somewhat mischievous roommate. Have you ever played hide and seek with a ghost? Posted in April of 2020, this footage shows you can run but you can't hide. Entering a disused building at night, which appears to have been an office building of some kind, this brave soul navigates the deserted place, with rooms littered with debris and office chairs overturned in the hallway. The guy filming seems to sense the presence of something unseen. He addresses it, but nothing makes itself known. Looking up and down hallways and around corners, he decides to ascend the stairs. On the second level, an overhead fan is spinning. With no electricity on, this movement is incredibly eerie. He calls out again to whatever presence is in the haunted building, before tentatively walking up the rest of the stairs and turning the corner to another hallway. He exhales audibly in relief after finding the hallway empty. As he walks down the hall, with small scraps of paper scattered everywhere on the floor, he hears a sharp click. He kicks a door from one of the adjacent rooms open. Checking all corners of the room and behind the door, he finds no one and nothing in there. He runs to the opposite room, also kicking the door open and entering it to find it empty, apart from furniture. He returns to the hallway, looking back and forth several times before continuing down the hall. As he turns another corner, scanning the next hallway and its rooms, he screams as an office chair glides past behind him. When he turns to enter a room, he kicks the chair away from him, but moments later the chair moves again as he continues down the hallway. Now the noises really escalate. There are bangs and sounds coming from every direction. As he walks past a room, the door slams shut. He enters the room and a window slides open. More sounds bang all around, causing him to race out of there for his life.
Bismillah. Allahu Akbar.
As he arrives at the stairwell, a loud screeching is heard, like tables being moved around, only the screeching doesn't stop for a long time.
استحلفتكم بالله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة.
After watching this footage, one thing's for sure, this haunted building is not for the faint of heart. Damon and Sean are walking around outside when they come across a huge open sewer pipe in the middle of nowhere. They don't think much of it until something weird starts to happen.
I think there's like somebody down there. What the dude, it's creeping me out.
Sean goes to the other side of the pipe to see if he can determine the source of the banging. Soon, he comes back and says that he couldn't see anything on the other end.
Yeah, but usually there's like two at a time. See? Did you hear that?
If there is any technical reason for a sewer pipe to be banging in sets of two like that, then I'd like for someone to please explain. Otherwise, there's no way to tell who or what was making all that racket down there. This video was taken somewhere deep in the Philippines. To anyone watching from the Philippines, can you please listen to this and tell me if it sounds like any wildlife you have ever heard? It almost sounds more like a machine than a human. Take another listen and tell me if you agree. A group of friends are hanging out late at night when a strange yelping sound brings them to a window to investigate.
Do you hear that? What the?
They start to argue about if it sounds like a regular animal in distress or some sort of rare and mysterious creature. Listen to these noises and tell me if this sounds like anything you've ever heard in the woods before. All of them soon start to feel uncertain about hanging around the open window and back away. I think it sounds like it could possibly be an animal that's being hunted, but I'm not sure. What do you think is happening? And would you be brave enough to go into the woods and find out? I wouldn't. What we don't know can't hurt us. Maybe. Published to TikTok by John Vasquez. He writes, caught on my cousin's trail cam. Proof that there is something out there that we don't know about. A small buck is captured in the forefront of the shot, while behind him in the forest, a very strange looking creature passes by. It looks like a multi-tiered stack of pumpkins. The buck seems disturbed by the presence behind him as he quickly turns around and walks a few steps to peer beyond the bush. While many in the comments note that the buck obviously sensed it, a TikTok user notes the creature is something best left alone. That's probably the best advice. YouTuber named Dylan James TV hears a low metallic humming noise and starts recording. Everything from religious warnings to alien technology has been suggested as possible explanations. I'm not sure what it is, but I will say that this definitely sounds like some sort of mysterious buzzing noise. Tell me if you think this sounds like a machine or something else. A YouTuber named Jerry Wells and a housemate sit across from each other while playing with a Ouija board. Apparently, they have been experiencing strange paranormal disturbances around the home for some time, and now they're turning to the Ouija board for answers.
We're going to try to find out what's in this house. I don't know how else to try to contact it. We've got to find out what it wants. I'm going to see if I can get it to leave us alone.
Look closely and you can see the board quivering unnaturally as they speak.
Or tell us what you want, what it'll take to leave me and my family and our home alone, and never return. We're tired of this. Just tell us what you want.
Jerry Wells asks what it wants, and BLOOD is the reply, followed by a metaphysical reaction.
What do you mean, blood? What the hell do you want? Come on now.
Oh my God,
Tommy!
If this is fake, then I have no idea how they did this. You can clearly see underneath the table the entire time, so it's not magnets, and I don't see a string either. If you don't believe this is paranormal, then let me know how they managed to make the board shake and jump straight into the air.
January 21st, about 11 p.m. I'm a couple hundred feet from my house, and you hear it going off in the background right now. Kind of sounds weird.
A brave man hears sinister laughter near his house and rushes outside to investigate. The maniacal laughter is moving closer to where he is standing now. He stands by the streetlight rather than going any further into the darkness on his own. I was thinking that this could be a simple coyote, but then he says this.
If foxes and coyotes have been around here that long, why we wouldn't have heard them before? And all of a sudden, since November, things have been just going crazy around our community.
So apparently, foxes and coyotes have been around this area for a long time, and never have they made these kinds of noises before, meaning that this was probably something different. I also really want to know what he meant when he says that strange things have been happening in his community in November. This video was apparently taken on a reservation in Oregon, but if anyone knows which one, then please let me know so that I can do some further research. Anyway, things seem to be quieting down when all of a sudden shots are fired and an unearthly scream fills the night air. If this was not a fox or a coyote, then what could it possibly have been? Paranormal investigations can be a scary experience in a group, so imagine conducting one all by yourself. The Spectral Researchers of Central Florida is a group dedicated to investigating alleged paranormal activity from across the state. Aside from doing the normal group investigations, members have also gone to locations alone to explore and potentially collect evidence. This is a method often done by paranormal researchers and is therefore more susceptible to encounters. On February 21st, 2021, member Robert ventured to the Hall House, a former assisted living facility. With the help of a Kinect, he ventures through the building hoping the infrared dots on the device will help pick up any unseen entities. 3 minutes into the investigation, Robert captures a thump coming from behind him.
I just heard some big loud thump.
While it could easily be the sound of Robert walking, he has been walking around frequently throughout the video, and not once do his footsteps make a sound resembling such a noise. In fact, they are practically silent. Later, while in another room, Robert accidentally walks into something protruding from the wall. This is understandable as it was pitch black in the house, but what is strange is if you listen closely, you can hear someone whisper what sounds like toe. The voice sounds too high to be Robert's, and it doesn't appear to be his breathing, as the voice can be heard happening at the same time Robert is exhaling. Just before the 6-minute mark, he enters a room and asks whose room it was. Well, it is rather faint, an answer comes sounding along the lines of mine.
Are you a former resident?
Could whoever used to reside there be confirming it was they who lived there? One possible creepy moment happens when Robert is standing in another room, looking out into the hallway. Several green lights are projecting from a device on the floor to both help Robert see the walls in the dark and potentially capture any entities which might block out some of the beams. As he looks into the hall, it looks as if there is a figure standing at the opposite end. The figure appears to be wearing some sort of gown, which would make sense as this might have been the garments worn by a former resident. Robert doesn't appear to see the figure, possibly because of how dark the room was, and the apparition may have been more visible in the camera's night vision. It can be seen at several other instances when Robert looks down the hallway until it completely vanishes. Close to the halfway point of the investigation, Robert's camera appears to have a malfunction. Without explanation, the focus suddenly becomes fuzzy. Robert notices this and wonders if he accidentally zoomed in. However, us viewers can clearly see he did no such thing, and the vision blurred randomly as he panned over. Ghosts have been known to cause technical faults in electrical equipment, a phenomenon explained as entities drawing energy from the various devices investigators use. This can cause batteries to rapidly drain, lights to flicker, and even equipment to break. Luckily, the picture corrected itself after a minute. The picture returned to normal just as quickly as it had malfunctioned. One commenter points out they heard what they believe sounded like a woman saying, "I see nothing but the darkness as we move." Upon investigation, we could not hear what sounded like a woman speaking, but what it does sound like is the shuffling of feet and even a faint step. Robert is standing still at the time, so it is not him. Have a listen for yourself and see if you can hear the voice. The most compelling evidence comes when Robert can sense someone in the corner of the room. When he points the Kinect there, the device projects a figure seated, facing towards him.
Hello? Would you be able to tell me your name?
The figure even appears to brace itself against the wall to stand. When Robert asks for a name, the figure appears to either wave or gesture to something. It is difficult to determine which. Robert's investigation of the building definitely paid off with this discovery, and we are hoping the team returns to the location in the future. While not full of activity, there was certainly enough to determine something has remained long after the doors were closed for good. When a shadow passes through your security footage, you know you're not alone. Posted by Lily Monique to the Chills Narrator subreddit. Lily shares that her uncle David and her father work for mall security. She writes, "This is what my dad and uncle caught on mall security cameras where they work in the middle of the night in the parking lot. The video shows David standing in the middle of the empty lot. He remains there in the light, and no one at all is around, but then a shadow passes close to the camera, completely blocking him from view for a moment. It almost looks as if a figure glided directly in front of the security camera. If I were David, I'd be looking over my shoulder in that parking garage." You might want to bring a shield and armor when this uninvited guest shows up to your family reunion. Published to YouTube by Ghosted UK in November of 2019, a group of people appears to be watching something going on off screen when all of a sudden a poltergeist pops up beside them. Something up on a shelf is sent crashing to the ground. Startled, the group all turns to look and most start laughing.
Your knees, Andrew, for some reason.
It's unclear what the disturbance was and what object was flung, but it seems to have been thrown with some aggression. Would you be laughing if this happened to you? Have you ever dreamt that you found someone in your bed, but when you pulled the covers away, there was no one there? Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by BobbyGO1, the uploader writes, "She plays this off as a joke, but I find it quite weird. The quite weird joke was posted to TikTok originally by TJY. In the video, she says she just came into her room, and it literally looks like there's someone lying in her bed. She keeps saying ew, as she approaches the thing, not knowing if indeed there is someone underneath. As she steps closer,
Ew! No! Ew! Ew! Oh my god, is there someone there? No.
the hair stands up on the back of your neck. You prepare yourself to have something or someone jump out at you, but when she lifts the blanket, nothing is there. A wave of relief washes over you, and probably her too. Watching it again, it's very strange how a body appears to be lying under the blanket, and when she yanks it from her bed, it doesn't look thick enough to bunch up like that. Redditor, the classic Drew, admits in the comments, if I saw that in real life, I would be so scared. Agreed. I probably wouldn't work up the nerve to approach it. A man in an undisclosed city hears this noise and begins recording. He sounds like he has anxiety from hearing this noise, and then later in the video you learn something very strange.
Yet again, I can hear that echoing sound, that eerie sound again today.
So obviously that has been going on for some time. However, nobody else around him seems to be upset or alarmed from the noise. Maybe this is some kind of ordinary city sound, and the uploader is pretending to be afraid as a prank. For those of you who have lived in a large city, what is this noise, and why would you hear it on and off for months on end? Thank you so much for getting me to 30,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 40,000 subscribers next. Thank you.